Alright, with the ban list upon us, is this the new best deck in Yu-Gi-Oh! Master Duel? Hello guys and welcome back to another cold episode. On today's episode, we're taking a look at Rescuace, one of the decks to be slotted in as the best deck in Yu-Gi-Oh! Master Duel, with the new ban list hitting Yubel and Snake Eye. Now, granted, if Tenpai comes out, that's the best deck, no questions asked. In a best of one, it's going to be a nightmare. But, until that is officially announced and we know what we are actually getting, or just if we know that we're getting it, this is going to be one of the best decks. This, Voiceless Voice, Yubel might still be one of the best decks, tier, stuff like that, right? But this, I think, is pretty heavily slept on at the moment, and even with that being said, I think post-ban list it will be a little bit better. Now, I am playing 2 Bonfire. You could cut the 1 Bonfire, and it'd be totally legal for the new format. It came up occasionally having the second one. Okay, technically speaking, it never came up having the second one because I was never able to search another target. I only have the 1 Bonfire, or I only have the 1 Poplar, right? But it came up occasionally for, like, consistency things. But honestly, yeah, if you just cut it, like, 45 cards is better anyway, so there you go. I just happen to be playing 2 because it's prior to the ban list. Anyway, besides that, this is a pretty simple list. We're playing 46 because we have a whole bunch of dead cards that we do not want to draw, most notably these 2, as well as we don't necessarily want to draw Turbulence, but it's not bad to draw. So there's a bunch of stuff like that where it's like it's better to search it, right? So we're only playing, or we're playing 46 to kind of prevent ourselves from drawing into those cards. Anyway, we are also playing the Snake Eye engine of 1 Poplar, 3 Diabell Star Witch, the 1 Wanted, and of course, the target, that being the Original Sin. This just allows us to get into the Hydrant, and that's basically the only reason we are playing that engine. Yeah, Hydrant's incredible, allows you to search out one of your other Rescuace monsters, which is great. We're also playing, we're only playing 2 of that instead of 3. 3 is just too much. It's a good normal summon, but it's not the best normal summon. So you don't always want to see it, you mostly want to special summon it, and it's easier to special summon it off of like an Emergency or an Original Sin. Make sense? Makes sense. We're playing 2 Impulse. I wasn't originally sold on this. I was like, why would we play this? We don't have a good target for it. We do. Fire Engine. The thing is, Impulse is really good because being able to set up a board kind of during your opponent's turn by going like Fire Engine, special summon it, and then special summon an Airlifter or special summon a Hydrant or something like that. Very useful. Just being able to get like additional cards that you can play with before your opponent has the ability to potentially interact with them with like an Apollosa or a Phantom Nightmare or something along those lines. Yubel Phantom Nightmare, right? That's what it's called. Anyway, so it's pretty nice. So we are playing the Fire Engine and then the 2 Impulse, which is pretty nice. And that's pretty much it. We're also playing 2 Airlifter to search the cards because it's limited to 2, but it's very good. Searching Emergency, yada yada. We're also playing 2 Preventer. Being able to reborn a monster, being able to bring back a monster from the Banished Zone when it's sent to the graveyard is great. And on top of that, it's also a Book of Moons, so we're playing 2 of it. We're also playing 2 Turbulence. You need 2. If I could play 1 realistically and not have it just be like a death sentence if it goes away, I would absolutely play 1. This is kind of a brick, but it's also not terrible to draw, right? Unlike something like Vision Hero Vion, or not Vion, Increase, right? But all in all, solid card and is the main core strategy. Being able to set 4 Rescuace cards is incredible. So there's that. And that is pretty much it for the monsters. The rest are spells and traps. We're playing 1 apiece, we're playing 1 HQ to shuffle back our cards off of the Airlifter search. We're playing 2 Rescue. Why am I playing 2 Rescue? Well, because it allows us to do a little bit more with our lines with Hydrant. So we can go like normal summon Hydrant, activate the effect, search out a card, link off the Hydrant, bring back the Hydrant with the Rescue to put the Rescue into the grave, and then link those off for something like a Hita, something like an IP Masquerena, something like an SP or an Elf, or, well, not an Elf, but something along those lines, right? Which is pretty useful. On top of that, you could potentially bring back a card that you just would need in general, and it's just a solid card to have as well. It can also be Disruption during the opponent's turn with Hydrant, which is pretty cool. Yeah, then we also have the 1 Alert, which is basically just a target to set off of Turbulence, along with Contain and Extinguish. And then we're playing, of course, 3 apiece of Emergency. Pretty solid. Also, they all have secondary effects. All of these 4, I should say, have secondary effects with Hydrant on the field. Contain is basically just imperm, and your opponent can't attack, but if Hydrant is on the field, you also can't use that monster for extra deck mechanics. Extinguish with Hydrant on the field not just pops the card, but also prevents them from utilizing the monster's effects. And any other monsters with that same name, which is pretty useful. Rescue allows you to reborn not just from your grave, but your opponent's grave with Hydrant. And Alert allows you to add a card from deck to hand instead of just from grave to hand. So all of them pretty useful with the Hydrant, obviously. As for the rest of the cards, it's pretty simple. We're running a whole bunch of hand traps, Gamma because of emergency and stuff like that. So we're playing the 2 Gamma and the 1 Driver. We're playing 3 Maxi, 3 Ash Blossom, 2 Triple Tack, the 1 Rhoda to search out the Airlifter, or technically Impulse as well. The 1 Pot of Prosperity, 2 Bonfire, the 2 Called By, the triple Imperm, and that's it for the main deck. Nice 46 cards. As for the extra, we're playing 1 Typhon and then a whole bunch of Link monsters. 2 Link 1s in Link Karibo and Anima for our level 1s here. Both are pretty good. We're also playing a Phoenix as well as Hita. Then we're playing an IP Masquerena, a Dark, an Elf. Elf is actually pretty easy to summon in this deck. There's a lot of times that you'll go into like a Phoenix or something like that and then into an Elf. We're also playing 2 SP Little Knight. It's pretty nice just to have it in general to go into your... just to kind of like link off things, right? We're playing a Selene for the Diabell Star stuff. We're playing a Promethean Princess. We're playing an Apo. Honestly, Apo never really got summoned. Most of the time I would get hand trapped, so I wasn't really able to make the Apollosa, or do like the Apollosa line. We are also playing the 1 Zelantis and Raging Phoenix for the Zelantis OTK. And that's it for the deck. Let's hop into the replays and show you how this deck performed. Alright, so here we are going second. Let's see what we can do. This is honestly, it's not the greatest of hand, but Hydrant with Alert is pretty good, and we also drew the 1 Bonfire, the 2 Bonfire. But my opponent just sets and passes. Coolio. I'm going to start off here with the Bonfire, and we're going to search out the Poplar. We're going to activate the effect of the Poplar, and we're going to special summon it. To the which my opponent will activate the Max C. I'm like, yeah, that kind of makes sense. We're going to go for the original Sin here, and then I'm going to look at the hand, and I'm going to go, you only have 1 play starter here, which is the Samsara D, which you probably just drew into. So I'm going to put that one back, and then I'm going to normal summon this Airlifter and activate its effect, and we're going to get Impermed. I'm like, okay, that's fine. I'll just go to combat here, and then I forgot this card exists. I should not have done that. Oops. Uh-oh, SpaghettiOs. Okay, now I kind of have to play into the Maxi. So I'm going to go for this card's effect, and we're going to go for the Hydrant. We're going to activate the Hydrant effect. We're going to go for the Turbulence here. We're going to link off into the Link Karibo to put 2 names into the graveyard for Turbulence. We're going to go for the Turbulence here, and as long as they don't have effect failure, we're going to go 1, 2, 3, and 4. Just kidding. We had the other 2 targets in hand. So we do get everything here, but yeah, we can only set the 3 because they have to be different names. But all in all, this is pretty good. Now, my opponent did have a whole bunch of draws. Not really anything I can do about that, at least after the big mistake. They're going to go for the Sharvara, but I'm not really too concerned about that, seeing as how they have the trap already in hand, which is not great for them. Anyway, they are going to pop here. They're going to go for the U-Bell. To be fair, what I should have done is I should have done this way earlier. So that we had Extinguish with the Hydrant on field, so that my opponent wouldn't be able to utilize the Spirit of Yugioh. We could have popped the Spirit of Yugioh with the Extinguish and prevented them from doing a thing. But of course they have the second Roach, and I'm like, nothing I can do about that. Got it. Not going to try and activate anything else here. We're just going to go for the Preventer. We're going to attribute the Preventer, and then Preventer effect will activate. We're going to special summon out our Hydrant. My opponent's going to go for the Called By here. I'm like, okay, this isn't great, but I'm going to Alert to bring back the Preventer into my hand so that it doesn't get Called By, because I really want the Hydrant on field to get that additional effect, right? The additional effect of Contain and Extinguish are fantastic, so yeah, definitely going to do that. My opponent goes for the Nightmare Phoenix. I'm like, oh no. And they target this one, the one I don't care about. So we're going to go for the Rescue here. I'm going to steal their U-Bell, which is kind of funny. So yeah, I'm going to steal the U-Bell. U-Bell is now on my field, which means their Spirit of U-Bell not doing anything. We're also going to go for the Turbulence here. My opponent is then going to activate the Phantom of U-Bell. I'm like, that's exactly what I wanted. Now we don't have to deal with that. Great, 10 out of 10. Except for the fact that I have no other monster effects. So, kind of useless, but it's fine. My opponent's then going to special summon this guy in order to go into the SP Little Knight, and then activate the effect of the SP Little Knight. Targeting Contain, and I'm like, well, I might as well activate the effect of the, what's his bucket? And they banish the U-Bell, and I'm like, right, SP Little Knight's a favorite card. It's fine, we still have Extinguish, which is pretty much the biggest thing that we could have here. And my opponent brings back the Spirit of Yugioh, and they're going to activate the effect in order to set the Nightmare Pain. Now, realistically, what I should do is just immediately pop the Spirit of Yugioh. The reason I don't, right, because if I do this, right, Yugioh is pretty much not going to ever hit the field, and then they have a really hard time putting enough monsters onto the field to walk over the Turbulence. However, the reason I don't do that is very simple. If they end up having the ability to put enough bodies, enough Yugioh names onto the field through that, I do die. I don't know if there's a way that they could realistically do that, but there is, like, some capacity in which they are able to do that through the, oh, no, they already used that. I'm just kind of, like, playing it safe. I'm like, maybe I hold off here, maybe I wait. Is it a good idea? No, not necessarily, but it's kind of the best that I can do. So they're going to bring out the Yugioh, they're going to go for the Samsara D. Samsara D is going to then special summon out the Spirit of Yugioh, and then they're going to shuffle back those two in order to go into the Phantom. They're then immediately going to go to the battle phase, and here's the thing. I think there was a world in which they could have potentially gotten another guy onto the field. Not entirely sure, but it's fine. We're going to pop the Yugioh here. It's not going to trigger because of the Extinguish secondary effect, so that's pretty nice. And then my opponent is going to walk into me for a lot of damage, and then go into Yama here. Yama's not really going to do anything here other than grab back Sharvara, but we already know that they have the trap in the hand. They're going to shuffle back an additional 2 because this card is fair, and they're going to go for the third Phantom of Yugioh. And then SP Little Knight also comes back. We draw Ash Blossom, which is kind of funny. And I'm immediately going to go for the Turbulence to bait out the Phantom of Yugioh. I'm like, yep, that's totally fine. And my opponent is going to pop the Spirit of Yugioh, to the which I will promptly negate that with a Ash Blossom and Joy Spring. My opponent is going to go for the SP here for reasons. I don't know why they decided to do this now. It's fine. I don't think it's like a terrible idea, but it was just kind of like, oh, interesting. They go for the Ash Blossom here because, of course, they drew like a million cards. So why would they not have the Ash Blossom? Not really that big of a deal. We do have Preventer here, which is pretty good. We're going to link 2 here in order to go into the Phoenix. We're going to activate the Phoenix effect. I'm going to pop the, I believe I pop, yeah, I popped the Nightmare Pain. I believe I know, oh yeah, they pitched the Escape. So I know this is the other Nightmare Pain. I didn't know at the time, but I know that that is the other Nightmare Pain. I also do this at the Link Zone so that I can draw a card, and that is one of the best draws that we could have gotten. We're going to go for the Airlifter here. We're going to activate its effect in order to grab up Emergency, and at this point, we can just kind of do whatever we want. So we're going to go and shuffle back a whole bunch of cards. We're going to shuffle back the 1 Banished Contain, as well as 3 of our other cards. We're going to keep the Extinguish in Grave for the Emergency that we have in Grave, so we can just set the set with the Emergency the Extinguish, so that's pretty good. We're going to go Bestower here, and at this point, the name of the game is OTK, right? So here we go for the Raging Phoenix, and then we're going to link off the Raging Phoenix here, except for not, because Nibiru hits the field. However, I can still OTK, and it'll be quite interesting. So Turbulence hasn't used its effect to special summon itself, so out comes the big boy. And then we are going to go and activate this guy's effect in order to grab up another Hydrant. So we're going to shuffle back the Poplar, and then grab the Hydrant. And now we can link these 2 off into Hitha. Hitha is going to steal their Ash Blossom. Oh, sorry, I steal the actual Nightmare Phoenix, which does matter. Actually, this is very, very important. Because now we go for the Elf here, which is, again, pretty important, because now we can bring back our own Phoenix, which is funny, and then we can link these 2 off into Zelantis. So he still gets to do the OTK, and guess what? We still have a normal summon. So we can still go for the Hydrant here, which is very funny. We're going to just put the Nibiru back face down, and out comes Zelantis here, as well as the Elf. We're going to go and pop here with the Promethean Princess. We're also going to activate the effect of our Huzumawatse in Grave, the Raging Phoenix, which is then, anyway, Sharvara hits the field, doesn't matter, that's unimportant. My opponent is then going to also special summon out this guy with the Spirit of Yugioh, and the Spirit of Yugioh is going to summon out the Yugioh, and here, so, okay, this is where Hydrant became extremely important. Remember, we still have Extinguishing Grave, right? And Hydrant allows you to activate a quick play spell trap that was set by the effect of your Rescue Ace card the turn it was set. So if you just set the card normally, doesn't work. But because we specifically set the card off of Emergency's effect in Grave, we can activate it this turn. So we're going to activate this, we're going to pop the Yugioh. Yugioh now doesn't trigger, and we get a walk of the field. Not only do we get to walk over the field, but we get to pop the field with Zelantis' second effect. And we get to OTK our opponent there through, like, everything. That was super fun. Alright, so here we are, once again, going second. I swear this deck is mostly better going first, but it happens to be pretty funny here. We're going to go for the Ash Blossom here. Obviously, my opponent is playing Kashtira. There's no shot this is anything else if they're going first, right? And, yep. Kashtira, baby. I draw Bonfire, comedy. We're going to activate the effect of the Bonfire. We're going to grab the Poplar. We're going to activate the effect of the Poplar. They're going to not activate anything. We're going to go for the Poplar effect. They're going to imperm that. Fair, reasonable, understandable. We're going to go normal summon Hydrant. Hydrant effect is going to activate. They're going to activate the imperm here. And I'm like, okay, fine. I'll just go combat. Anyway, we're going to link here into the Link Karibo, activate the Poplar effect, put the Ash into the back row, set one, and pass. This may seem strange. This may seem wacky. This may seem weird. Here's the thing. I don't really have anything. There's nothing that I can do outside of this, right? So I'm not feeling too terrible, though. We have the Imperm. We know my opponent is on Kashtira, right? So we have the Imperm, we have the Impulse, both of which are great here. So my opponent normal summons the Rise Heart and special summons out the Unicorn using the Theosis. Okay, understandable. I activate the Impulse here, and then activate the Imperm in Chain to negate there. And then we just go for the Preventer and book this guy. They're going to go for the triple attack, draw 2. I don't know why we don't do something else there, like, I don't know, steal. Maybe they're not playing SP Little Knight or something along those lines, but that's a weird choice. Anyway, we're going to go for the Hydrant here. We're going to activate its effect and search a card, and then, yeah, they banish my Promethean. It's fine. They go for Phantasme. Now, did you know Phantasme still draws a card? It just draws a card. It doesn't have to put it back, but it does draw a card. And, of course, what else but the Roach? I don't know what I expected there, but of course, the one card they draw. Anyway, it's fine. We just go for the Turbulence here, and we set for it, and just proceed to combat and walk over the field. Now, you might be thinking, Snow, what are you doing? Why'd you walk over the field? You now give them the Kashtira card. Except for SP Little Knight comes back. Smile. Now, here's where things get very funny. Again, this may seem strange. This may seem wacky. This may seem weird. Why did I immediately flip this card face down? Well, because I wanted to go for the emergency to put the Hydrant back onto the field so that I had the ability to prevent the Unicorn that's on field with Contain from being used as an Exia material, which would have been great, right? I also have my own Maxi, so I'm like, okay, I want them to basically flip this guy up so that I can, like, interact favorably with it, and since Preventer's already going to go to the grave, that's my thoughts, I'm just going to book this now so that, like, they have to actually flip it face up. Was it a good idea? No, not necessarily. But I did it. It's funny. Anyway, here's a Roach. They're going to go for the combat here, and I'm just going to go for Contain. And guess what? Contain prevents you from battling. So, nope, that SP Little Knight's sticking around. My opponent concedes. Good game. 2 Roaches. Alright, and once again, we are going second. I promise, this deck is good going first. Just none of my duels were good. None of my duels were interesting when I went first. Most of the time, my opponents would just immediately surrender. I'd, like, normal summon a Poplar, and they'd be like, ah! Anyway, my opponent is playing Super Heavy Samurai. Interesting. They're going to go for the search here for the Wakaushi, which is kind of a weird search, but whatever. They're going to then try and special summon the guy. I'm going to immediately negate here, because I don't want that to happen. They're going to then go for this guy's effect, which I will Gamma, and Wakaushi effect. Special summon, out comes the wagon, and here we can go for our Fire Engine. Then they make Baguska. Now remember, they were the ones who made Baguska. Okay, keep that in mind. They have made the Baguska. I draw triple attack, so I just had 2 pass. There's nothing I can do there. Smile. No, luckily I did draw Called By, which is a fair and balanced Yu-Gi-Oh card that allows me to immediately kill this entire strategy by banishing this singular card. But surely that won't come up, right? They're going to pitch the second Gamma that they had in hand, Comedy. And, yep, away it goes. Smile. Coolio. Yep. Bye-bye. Anyway, they're going to go for the this thing here. They're going to activate its effect in order to summon out a guy who does stuff. And then they're going to equip here, and they're going to special summon him again. And now they're going to make Genius. Now, what does Genius do? Go into Elf. And then Elf is going to bring back the Genius. And that's it. That was the whole play. I draw Ash, I normal summon it to threaten Hita, right? I want to go Hita here. This, again, kind of seems strange. I'm just going to go and walk into the Elf and then bring back the Elf. I don't know why we don't activate the Elf there, but it's fine. Anyway, we go Promethean Princess here. We activate the effect of the Promethean Princess, and we're going to special summon back the Fire Engine, and then I just pass the turn. I literally don't have anything else here that I can do. Like, I just... What am I going to bring back? Impulse? Impulse doesn't do shit here. So, anyway, they go for it. The special summon here of the Wakaushi with the Pendulum. Again, they're just not really doing anything. Also, they're playing 3 of this guy. Oh, wild to take. They're going to then negate the Fire Engine, finally, with Genius, by the way. And now they finally put Bagooska to attack position. Woo! Yeah! They're going to tribute here for the Scales, and that's just not happening. Scales is too much advantage. They would be able to bring back... what did they target? They targeted the Wakaushi, which is kind of interesting. I figured it would be better to target this guy, but it's fine. They go for for this guy, pitching Droll Comedy. Now they special summon out the Wakaushi. Wakaushi effect activates, and they realize, oh, right, that locks me. And concede. 10 out of 10. No nos. I lied. They lost the time. That was what happened. They sat under Bagooska for so long, they lost the time. Hilarious. Alright, we're back with the deck, and honestly, this deck is pretty powerful. One of the main benefits that it has is the ability to actually just like set 4 and pass, which is a pretty strong board into a lot of different decks, right? Having the ability to play a lot through spells and traps is incredibly powerful when a lot of other decks specifically play through monsters, right? Think Yubel, think Fire King, or Snake Eye, right, more specifically. A lot of those are very susceptible to monster interaction, right? Valor, Imperm, etc., etc. But if you're able to just, like, stick a Turbulence effect, which doesn't always happen, but, like, when it does, it's very, very powerful. If you're able to do that, oftentimes, you're in such a winning, commanding position, it's very difficult for opponents to come back. You have recursion with things like Rescue, Alert, and Emergency. You have the ability to slow down the opponent, and in fact, just stop them outright entirely with Contain and Extinguish being super powerful. You have the ability to also then, you know, potentially go through like a Promethean line and stuff like that. And you can OTK pretty efficiently, well, relatively efficiently, thanks to the Promethean Princess. And then on top of that, you're probably having, you know, 1 to 2 hand traps as well, things like Imperm, Ash, Maxi, etc. in your hand to kind of complement that. And it really does make the deck just kind of work in a very efficient manner, right? Now, the biggest problem with this deck is targeting. You have to target, like, everything in order to do anything, right? So, something like a Voiceless Voice doesn't feel good, right? If the Voiceless Voice player is allowed to get the barrier lock, then you're kind of straight out of luck, right? And you don't really have a great way of interacting with spell traps as you would with like monsters, right? So something like that is a bit of an issue, but other than that, the deck is very, very solid. And even with the Voiceless Voice, if you're able to go first, things like Contain and Extinguish really do heavily help, right? Being able to like extinguish the Low or the Skull Guardian before the other one hits the field is pretty nice, or just being able to like contain it as well to prevent its effect from activating, also pretty nice. But yeah, it is a more difficult matchup, and that's pretty much it. Yeah. I hope that you guys did indeed enjoy. If you did, likes very much so appreciated. And if you want to check out more content like this, as well as more Yu-Gi-Oh, then just be sure to subscribe. Anyway, thank you guys so much for watching, and remember to always stay frosty. Bye-bye. Shout out to the Frost Guard, my members. Thank you guys so much for the support, and I hope you enjoy the content.